Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Our Glazov Gang members this evening: Mike Finch, the Chief Operating Officer at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, and Dwight Schultz, a Hollywood actor who played Murdoch on NBC's The A-Team and Barclay on Star Trek: The New Generation. It is an honor and a privilege, Mike Finch and Dwight Schultz, to have you on the Glazov Gang.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Gentlemen, the covering of this episode of the Glazov Gang is What Difference Does It Make? Hillary Clinton's testimony on Benghazi, in the Benghazi hearings. What a question she asked. Let's just begin with you, Michael Finch. What do you think of that question, if it is a question? What difference does it make?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me back. I want to apologize, and when I hosted a few episodes ago, I referred to you as Wally Pip, and I'm sorry about that. I think the better analogy would be Alex Smith, and I'm Colin Kaepernick, but we'll leave that aside. I think Dwight gets that. Okay.
I have to say I'm surprised I'm still here, because so many people loved you hosting the show. Yeah. I made a mistake that Gorbachev made in 1990.
Yeah, be careful when you step down, right?
Yeah.
That's right. What difference does it make? It should make all the difference in the world for Hillary's political future, which should be dead. Unfortunately, she will live to fight another day. The Democrats will forgive her or just cover up for her. The media will whitewash this, and they'll actually blame the Republicans for being attack dogs and this defenseless woman. So she will come out of this probably better than she should, even though she should be scarred. It makes all the difference in the world. It makes a difference to the men that are dead, to their families. It makes a difference to American foreign policy. For this episode, for the future, it is one of the most callous, and Ron Johnson pushed the buttons, provoked her, and it was one of those unscripted. We always see Barack Obama unscripted when he says really stupid things. I think it's one of the most callous things ever said by an American public official. Shame on her. Shame on the Democratic Party for allowing this and for just sugarcoating her for the entire day. Shame on the Obama White House, and especially Hillary and Barack Obama, for allowing the murder of these soldiers, for not responding. I mean, it's a huge cover-up. It's one lie after another. I don't know what else. It's disgusting. It's actually sickening to watch this. And for her to say that, I think it really sums up. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference to Barack Obama that those Americans died.
But, Mike, in some ways it crystallizes even the whole ideological differences between us. Wait, let's put it this way. If we were to ask, how did we lose the Vietnam War? Let's go back to find out why South Vietnam was taken over by North Vietnam. Let's go back and figure out the mistakes so they don't happen again. A person that says, well, what does it matter now? What does it make any difference? It happened already. Isn't that the whole idea, that there are hearings to find out why 4 Americans are dead? Isn't that why there are hearings in the first place? Isn't that statement she made actually implying that the hearings shouldn't even be in existence?
Mm-hmm. Well, she didn't want the hearings. The White House doesn't want these hearings because they want to keep the cover up. I mean, there's a lot here, and unfortunately we don't have all the facts. I don't know if we're ever, we talked about this earlier, I don't know if we're ever going to get to all the facts. Something's really rotten about this.
Well,
go ahead. No,
you go ahead.
I mean, something's really rotten. And you know, stories of gun running to Syria, where the Russians involved, you hear in all these, how much of it's conspiracy, how much of it is, fiction. We don't know, but because they're covering this up, and they came out with the bogus story about the video, we don't know what the reason is, but there's something there, and they just, the continual lies, and her comment today tells us, it should tell all Americans, that there's something going on here that we have to get the answers to.
Absolutely. Well, look, here's the thing why it makes a difference. If your narrative is that Barack Obama went to Egypt in 2009 and made a speech with the Muslim Brotherhood in the front 2 rows, and the whole Muslim world loves us now, Al-Qaeda is on the run. And if that's your narrative, if that's your version, and then all of a sudden Al-Qaeda is attacking one of your embassies, and you have to sit there and say, oh, this is ruining our image, this is ruining our narrative, let's blame it on a movie, and then 4 Americans get killed because of that, yes, it does make a difference to point out the idiocy and the shamefulness of that kind of disposition to the terror war.
Well, look, she could have just said, we screwed up. We screwed up. It was bad intelligence. We made a mistake, and this thing would have been over a couple months ago. But
Dwight, do you mind if Mike and I just continue?
No, you go right ahead. I'm sitting back and enjoying this very much.
You have very nobly and stoically remained silent. Dwight, it is time to hear your wisdom.
Well, I don't know if it's wisdom, but this is what I take away from it. Barack Obama showed the way. How dare you ask me that question? How dare you? How dare you bring me here to this hearing? How dare you ask me what I was doing during the 7 hours in which those people were being murdered? How dare you question me? How dare you ask me to go on the Sunday programs? She was asked. I understand you declined to go on the Sunday programs instead of Susan Rice. She said, yes, I don't do the Sunday programs. I don't do that. It's been, a year since I did one of those? I mean, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to explain, really, why 4 Americans were murdered. It's only been 4 months. We don't have any answers. That's what Johnson said. We don't have the answers. The American people could have had the answers if you had made some phone calls. And that's when she went through her little... I mean, what does it matter? There are 4 people dead. What does it matter? It matters to find out why they were killed. Were they killed in an automobile accident? Or was it because of jihadis who are getting back at the United States because they think we're weak? And the entire policy of Barack Obama is dead in the water. And the American people are being told something exactly the opposite. What was it, Terry Moran? The guy with the biggest lips in the Washington press corps, who's now on ABC News, was tweeting that, oh, how dare Rand Paul attack Hillary Clinton. That's a news person. He doesn't want the news to get out because he's not a news person. He's a propagandist. This whole thing was a show, a complete, total show. From beginning to end, it was an embarrassment. And when Mike says it's disgusting, it's worse than disgusting. Every Democrat applauded her, and we're talking about 4 people dead.
I couldn't have said it better.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Dwight. And I appreciate your passion and your caring for the security of this country. We're really seeing a sinking ship occurring now as we enter the second term.
But now I just want to. You brought up the whole question of how we're dealing with the Muslim world. Now, you asked this question. She kept trying to talk about how wonderful the people were in Libya and how they all want this wonderful democracy. We want democracy. We want democracy. While the man that they installed, really, in Egypt, is calling Jews pigs, the descendants of pigs and monkeys, demanding the release of the blind sheikh. And isn't this something? Morsi asked for the release of the blind sheikh. The committee to release the blind sheikh that attacked the embassy down in, they want the blind sheikh released. And in Algeria, they wanted the blind sheikh. It's a very interesting thing that Hillary Clinton doesn't seem to see the dots being connected here.
And all the dots are connected. Okay, I want to get Mike.
Yeah. I think, she's so angry, and Obama's so angry, how dare you ask these questions? Because they know what happened, all right? They're guilty. When you're guilty, this is how you react. Look, the new Libyan leader, the Karzai kind of guy, said right after it happened, these were terrorists. Right. I mean, they knew, we knew, and the good thing is, I think the American public knows. This was not a spontaneous spontaneous revolt about a video. They know that these are jihadist terrorists. They're on the run, literally on the run, not running from us. They're attacking Westerners in Algeria. They're taking over Mali. I mean, this is a huge problem getting much worse. American people understand that, and I don't think all the anger from Hillary and from the White House and cover-ups don't work. So in spite of the media, the story's out there. If you ask the average American, I think they understand exactly. They know what happened.
Mike and Dwight, let me just focus in on a few elements of this Benghazi story, because some of these elements and some of this narrative of the White House, or whatever we want to call it, is based on such absurdity. Let's just focus in on one detail. The administration's narrative is that there's a couple guys, maybe dozens of them, walking down the street with mortars and rocket launchers, and somebody comes up to them and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, just on my way to play an Xbox at my friend's house." "Hey, you want to come to a demonstration? There was this video, and we're kind of upset about it. You want to come?" And they're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, I got my rocket launcher with me. Let's go." That's what their version is based on. Am I correct? It's absurd.
But nobody believes
this was,
that, man.
but,
Nobody believes
but that's what the Obama administration's version was based on.
That's what it was based on. Yeah, I mean, that was the story that they created.
Yes, but let's go back to that story that they created in the beginning. How can leaders of a nation create this story that have any nobility, any conscience?
They can't.
Well, that's the nature of a cover-up. I mean, you're caught in an act where you know that you did something wrong, you're guilty. The cover-up becomes absurd.
But I want to narrow in on this, that they are creating that version because they do not want to admit that jihad and radical Islam are problems.
Yes, that's right.
And so they've taken the word jihad out of the narrative, out of intelligence agency manuals, out of law enforcement. Nidal Hassan shot those 13 Americans and killed them and injured 39 others because of workplace violence, etc., etc. But they're denying about jihad. It's jihad denial.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about this. So let me ask this question. Today, Hillary Clinton was referring to jihadists. But John Brennan says that jihad is about what CARE says it's about, taking your kids to school and going on a diet. You see Stockton. You see Holder denying that such a thing as radical Islam and Islamism and jihad even exist. Talk about this for me a little bit, Mike.
Well, the question is, do they say that knowing that what jihad means, and that's, a war upon the infidels? Do they understand that, or do they really think that jihad is the internal struggle? I mean, I think when Hillary said jihadist today, she's not talking about your internal struggle with yourself. Right. She knew exactly. We know what that word means, and I think they know what the word means.
But John Brennan says that word does not mean it.
Because that's political correctness. That's right. You cannot admit that there's a segment of the Muslim world.
But then why didn't anybody ask Hillary Clinton, what do you mean by jihadist and what are they inspired by?
I mean, that'd be a question for the people that were questioning her today. Maybe nobody picked up on it.
But that question should be asked.
I mean, you talked about that earlier today. I haven't seen that reported in the press. I don't know if anyone, I don't think it's out there. I don't think anyone caught it. Well, obviously you did. A few people did. But it wasn't caught. It should be. And I think that it's interesting to ask the White House, what does jihad mean? I would like to line them all up, including Barack Obama, and say, define what jihad means. Mm-hmm. Now, given time, they'll give the politically correct answer. But under pressure, when she's pressed, it came out. And so they know what a jihadist is.
The cat was out of the bag today, but let me say this. When Hillary Clinton refers to jihadist, when it comes to this administration and what it represents, this is like socialists admitting that maybe the problem with communism resides in Marx. Right. It was an incredible admission today.
Well, Dwight? also, you have to remember that Chris Stevens, whose cables used that terminology. He said the flag of Al Qaeda is going up all around me. Mm-hmm. He says there are radical Islamists threatening us, and we're getting ready to be attacked. He used that terminology. They use that terminology. The reason they make a show of removing it from the public lexicon is because it's the alligator will eat us last thing. If we are really nice and we pretend that we really love Islam, they're not going to hurt us. They're actually going to like us. That's what Hillary believes. I don't think that's what Barack Obama believes. But that's the way they think. If we go over there and we go to Egypt and we tell them we like them and we're going to be their friend, it's all going to turn out well for us. But it's not. What's going to happen is that we're selling. This is the old Soviet lie. We are selling them the rope with which they want to hang us.
I do believe, though, if that was to happen right now, if the Benghazi thing was to happen on February 15th, we'd react right away. It's 2 months before an election. They could not admit that the jihadists are on the offensive and attacking throughout North Africa, on the rise in Egypt and all across Algeria.
And another issue is how we have a Republican candidate for President Romney that doesn't even try to nail this during a debate.
He did mention Mali, though, and he got ridiculed for it.
Yes, he got ridiculed, and now he's prescient.
Gentlemen, Hillary Clinton, crocodile tears today?
Completely.
What do you think, Mike?
I think it's
I'm wondering,
tears.
your hands are drenched in blood. Obama, Hillary, your hands are drenched in blood of 4 Americans that were murdered. Now you're crying? Mike, was it to try to get the pressure off of her?
Yeah, I mean, she wants people to feel sorry for her. She certainly doesn't want to be the one who's guilty. Look, John Boehner's tears are real. Hers are crocodile tears. I'm convinced of that.
But she took. But you see,
I think she was crying because she's also upset that she's been caught.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Well, yeah.
And this administration, because it is built based on deception and lies, the only thing to them that's important is that they say, I take the responsibility, and then they take none. She has no responsibility whatsoever. She says, I take the responsibility, but she has taken literally no responsibility. She doesn't know where she was. She can't tell anybody what she was doing. She never saw any of the cables, and she really doesn't say who was responsible. And when asked, when she talked to the president, oh, it was late at night, I don't remember. And I'm not going to go on television and tell the American people. They say one thing, and if they say it, and they say it with enough stress, you know they mean precisely the opposite. And that's this administration.
The tears will be real for Hillary because she will take the fall for this. It's not going to go to Barack Obama. He will leave her to hang for this episode. I'm convinced if someone's head's going to roll, it will be Hillary's because it will not go further up. There's no way it's going to Barack Obama.
But unfortunately, I don't know how anybody's head's going to roll because during Watergate, at least we had a media that went
right
for somebody's throat. With Obama in office,
Jamie,
I think the behavior of the media...
People are investigating this. There's investigator reporters out there. I know that's not on ABC, CBS.
Yeah.
There are investigations being done. This will not stay a secret. Things will come out.
Gentlemen, we got to do this in the set. We're out of time. 10 seconds each. We began with the question, what difference does it make that was uttered today by Hillary Clinton? But let me ask you this. Hillary's testimony, what difference will it make? Mike?
I think it'll make a huge difference. I think it's going to tarnish, in the long term, it's going to tarnish Hillary. There will be backlash against the White House for this. It's in the second term. I think this is a simmering scandal. I think it's going to make a huge difference.
But was that a failure today on Hillary's part?
She was doing fine, except for that one, except for what difference does it make?
I think it will also make a great difference if Republicans can somehow get themselves together and not let it die. Keep going after that comment. Keep going after the story. Don't let it die. And it has to be at the top of the Republican Party.
Thank you very much, Mike Finch. Dwight Schultz, join us for our second part of this episode of the Glazov Gang, where we discuss the David Horowitz Freedom Center's campaign to defend Michelle Bachmann from the leftist witch hunt. Join us then.